one. WDCE shining sun. Top 3 in the radio race. Sam NewsMan takes first place. Sam NewsMan only there. Feel the groove everywhere. College spirit makes us proud. Christian voices sing out loud. Corporate giants shake with fear. Sam's beats ring far and near. Students cheer and spread the word. Sam's the one you must have heard. From the campus to the town, no one brings the station down. Independent all the way. Sam NewsMan forever stay. Sam NewsMan only there. Feel the groove everywhere. College spirit makes us proud. Christian voices sing out loud.
You could accept the fact that the city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportions. It was way this Old Testament there, real wrath of God type stuff. Fire and brimstone coming down from the sky, rivers and seas boiling. 4 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes, dead rising from the grave, human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. That's hysteria.
Well, what you gonna do when immortality taps out to time? Ladies and gentlemen, that is the question, because on Thursday, in a moment that made both 80s nostalgia and bad tanning lotion cry out in grief, Hulk Hogan left the building for the final time at the age of 71. That's right, the Hulkster, the man who told millions of kids to train, say their prayers, and eat their vitamins, went on to body slam ethics, cancel culture, and a few marriages, has officially dropped the big leg on life itself. And somehow, even the Grim Reaper had to pause and flex before doing the job. Now, let's hold on a moment. Let's rewind. Anyways, a shout out to a couple of people here in the chat. Mary Murr, of course, first as usual. We have Cato's Collection, Iron Man, Abbott, Hoffman, Devoid of Logic. Tip of the cap to all of you joining into the show. But let's take a moment and take a step back. It was 1984. Madison Square Garden. Ronald Reagan was playing cowboy in the White House. Neon was a personality trait, and America needed a hero wrapped in a feather boa with 24-inch pythons. Enter Terry Bollea, a.k.a. Hulk Hogan, in all his sweaty, bronzed, bleached blonde glory. He faced off against the Iron Sheik in what might as well have been Cold War cosplay, won the WWF title, and boom, Hulkamania was born. You could practically hear the national anthem swell with steroids. From there, he tag teamed with Mr. T at WrestleMania 1, because nothing says credibility like a Mohawk ex-bodyguard and 40 pounds of gold chains. And then came WrestleMania 3. 1987 in the Pontiac Silverdome in front of over 93,000 spectators. A building stuffed with more people than logic or fire codes could even allow. Yet here we had Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. And in a moment so iconic, it's been replayed more and more than even the moon landing footage. And it was Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant. Or gently tilting him, I guess, if you want to say that. But let's not get caught in the physics. The point is, America stood taller that night, even if Andre himself didn't. But Hulk Hogan wasn't just a big man with big arms, or even a bigger ego. He was also part of the most unstoppable tag team ever, the Mega Powers, whom he teamed up with Macho Man Randy Savage, because nothing builds camaraderie like jealousy, ego, and, of course, a mutual obsession with Miss Elizabeth. Now, Hogan ended up going on winning WrestleMania 5, getting the title back, but then we fast forward to WrestleMania 6 in Toronto. This was 1990, and Hulk Hogan loses. Cleanly. No way, cleanly. First time many people ever saw that, and it was to the Ultimate Warrior, a man who looked like someone blended cocaine, war paint, and the dictionary backwards. But then it was on to WrestleMania 7 a year later. Hulk goes full patriotic fever dream, battling a heel Sergeant Slaughter who turned traitor and had aligned with Iraq, because apparently wrestling doesn't do subtle. But by the mid-1990s, the yellow and red shtick was fading faster than a VHS tape left in the sun. So, what does Hulk Hogan do? He heads to WCW. And in 1996 at Bash at the Beach, he pulls the ultimate heel turn, aligning with Hall and Nash to form the NWO. And guess what? It worked. For a hot minute, wrestling was cool again. Black and white, edgy, meta. Hogan was booed, loved, and feared again. And the merch? Oh, brother. You're going to walk through a mall without seeing an NWO shirt, Jinko jeans, and adolescent rebellion. Then came the slow decline. Lawsuits, back injuries, promos that sounded like expired protein powder trying to form a sentence. And eventually the Hulkster came crawling back to the WWE, like the prodigal son, yet only louder. WrestleMania 18, the year 2002. The match, Hulk Hogan versus The Rock. Generations colliding like a thunderstorm of charisma and catchphrases. And even though he lost, the crowd that night resurrected him. He left the heel tunnel and began to walk out a hero once again. Cue redemption, cue nostalgia, cue another round of Hulkamania. Slightly slower, a bit more leathery, but somehow still shaking the ropes. In 2005, he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, where Vince McMahon said that Hulk Hogan was wrestling itself, which would be poetic if wrestling hadn't later tried to erase him from itself. Because then came the reality shows, the family drama, the leaked sex tape, but nothing says role model like grainy night vision footage and bad dialogue. Of course, then came the racial slurs, the scandal, and his swift removal from the WWE Hall of Fame website, like he never body slammed America's consciousness for 30 years. But of course, in wrestling, it's only poetic for the heel to always find a way back. In 2018, the WWE uncanceled the uncancelable. They reinstated him, tried to slap a new coat of spray tan over the old wounds, and the public, well, there were mixed reactions. The locker room itself, divided. Hulk, well, he was still flexing in front of a mirror. And yet, for all the scandals, sex tapes, and absurd lawsuits, there was still something very deeply mythic about him. Hulk Hogan was a symbol, a relic, a larger-than-life American cartoon turned real, then blurred again. But we can't just stop there. We have to sit there and think about what happened toward the end. Something quiet. Away from all of the headlines and the hashtag, Hulk Hogan gave his life to Christ. That's right. He got baptized about 18 months ago in a move that seemed almost, well, sincere. This was not a PR stunt, not a redemption arc, just a man trying to find peace after decades of being a character. And then, this past Thursday, came the final match. Following complications from neck surgery in May and worsening COPD, the man who once seemed indestructible was suddenly human again. And on Thursday, Hulk Hogan tapped out. No referee, no kick out at 2, no Hulk up moment, just silence. And maybe that's the most poetic ending of all. Because, let's face it, Hulk Hogan was never meant to fade away quietly. He was designed to roar, rip his shirt off, to point dramatically at the heavens and wag a finger like he was scolding fate himself. But in the end, the pythons stopped flexing. The music stopped playing. The crowd sat down. And somewhere out there, Randy, Andre, Warrior, and Bobby Heenan are waiting in a celestial locker room, rolling their eyes as the big guy struts in and yells, "What you gonna do, Heaven, when Hulkamania runs wild on you?" Rest easy, Hulk. You were absurd. You were iconic. And you were ours. Flaws, sweat, bandanas, and all. And whether you were the hero, the heel, or the headline, you made us all believe, even if just for a moment, that we too could fight the odds, flex through the pain, and tear the damn shirt off of life itself. Brother. So, with that, we turn the page of pop culture in and of itself by saluting you, Hulk Hogan, and the memories that you brought us, whether they be good, bad, or indifferent. You were a pop culture icon, and you'll remain one, no matter if people are upset that your beer is disgusting. Broadcasting live from the WDCE studios out of the University of Richmond, you're listening to WDCE 90.1 FM, setting the standard and raising the bar here on the only award-winning radio show dedicated to the magic and nostalgia of Saturday morning, hosted by me, a real award-winning media puppet from the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell. I'm Sam Newsman, and this is SideShow Infotainment. I want to thank everyone, of course, for joining into the show. I see Auntie Queenie here as well. If you have any thoughts about Hulk Hogan, go ahead and you can put those down in the chat. Like I said, I know, very polarizing person by the end of his career. But it seems like a man who wanted to just live by the end and appreciate his time that he had here. So it's like I said, it's been a very interesting week. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to sit there and take a step back for a moment and say that if it wasn't for this week, man, a lot of people might just continue to just go about their lives and think, hey, you know what? I'm just going to keep on rolling. But the reality is this, is that you're not guaranteed tomorrow. You're not guaranteed the next 5 minutes. So when you think about this week, we had several celebrities pass away. Ozzy Osbourne's another one that comes to mind. But it just goes to show you. Now we can sit there and scoff and just say, hey, well, you know what? They're old. But the reality is that we're all here on borrowed time. Not just celebrities, but you yourself. Which then brings me back to some of the things that I always go over on a weekly basis. One of the things that I always talk about, I always bring up Fred Rogers, old Uncle Fred, Mr. Rogers, talking about looking for the good where you are and embracing it. Another thing that Fred said was, the older I get, the more I come to understand that the things we possess can never bring us ultimate happiness. And if that doesn't ring true, I don't know what does. Because we live in a culture and a society, ladies and gentlemen, that emphasizes what you have as opposed to who you are. And I'm here to tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, that it is not about what you have. It's not about the stuff, because when all is said and done, your stuff is just going to be your stuff. It's going to be boxed up, put away, possibly thrown away. And, well, like I said, it's just stuff. Shout out to a couple people, anime figure statue collector, Stiletto as well. Dead Man, good morning to you, sir. We are all toy mercs. If you got a chance to go back and watch, we are doing a show every single night from Sunday to Thursday around 10 o'clock at night. And that show is the Sam the Vote-a-thon. And, well, I'm sitting here just thinking about just the reality of the situation. How we all take time for granted. But in that time, I want you guys to know that, we don't always succeed in what we try. Certainly not by the world standards. But I think that you'll find it's the willingness to keep trying that matters the most. So, as I'm sitting here just thinking about time in and of itself, how we're all on borrowed time, I do want to mention a few things. Number one, thanks for listening and watching the show. Make America Green Again. Shout out to you, sir. I see you in the chat. But As we go through each day, one of the things that we need to think about are our friends and our family, the people that we're closest to, maybe even the people who we've had disagreements with, the friends, the family members who we no longer talk to. But I want to re-emphasize the fact that you just never know what a day may bring. And what I mean by that is that every single time you sit there and you think about, well, will I ever speak to this person again? Maybe that's your signal. That's stirring in your belly. That aching in your heart that makes you want to say, hey, maybe I should just reach out to them and reconnect with them. Whether they did you wrong or not is irrelevant. Sometimes it takes the bigger person just to say, I'm sorry that we haven't connected in such a long time, just to reestablish the connection. Because I will tell you this, once you do reconnect with somebody that you haven't spoke to in years, you let bygones be bygones. It's that reconnection that is really the thing that makes it all worthwhile. And ladies and gentlemen, that's really what life is all about. So I can sit up here and, joke and have a bunch of good times and, sit there and whine about politics like sometimes I do, and I do that so you don't have to, by the way. But take a step back. Think about where you are in life, where your friends are, and really what matters. And it's the time you get to spend with others. Because, ladies and gentlemen, that time is never guaranteed. Well, speaking of time, I will tell you, shout out to Burn-Eyed Mind's Third Eye as well. See a couple of people here just in the chat. So, but I will tell you, it is very, very interesting that we have had quite this week. Doe Studios, I see Doe Studios as well down in the chat. We have about 50 people watching across all social media channels. And if you're listening to us live, WDCE.net, WDCE.org. Download the Live 365 app, search WDCE, and you can listen to the show. You don't just have to watch the show. You can just go about your day, cooking breakfast, going to the grocery store, just continuing to listen to me as opposed to just watching me. Even though I do have some really cool sunglasses on right now. You recognize these sunglasses? Yeah, they were from the Pizza Hut promotion. Yeah, the old Back to the Future Pizza Hut promotion. So, but ladies and gentlemen, I do want to say a few things here before I let you go. Probably cut this a little bit short today because we're in a somber state. It is a somber type of day, as it's been a somber type of week. But before we let you go, I do want to say a few things. Number one, over my shoulder, there's a little hat and it says Toy Mercs. We are all Toy Mercs. I had Dead Man on with Skydro Walker the other day talking about toy photography and the toy community and just how people have been brought together just by photographing their action figures and toys. What might seem to be trivial is actually something that's grand and great. Because something like taking pictures of your action figures, bringing people together who might have differences of opinions when it comes to worldviews, religion, and politics, just knowing that there's a place where you can connect with other people about something so simple as action figure photography is a blessing in and of itself. So shout out to Dead Man, shout out to Skydro Walker. Skydro Walker, where you can use the code SKYDRO, that's SKYDRO at extremesets.com. And also make sure you go to legionsmagazine.com. You can pre-order the second issue of Legions magazine, which is a magazine publication that has nothing but toy photography in it. An actual hard copy magazine. And that's at legionsmagazine.com, the official publication of Toy Mercs. Another thing I'd like to bring up, ladies and gentlemen, is that we have about 9 days left. 9 days left for what? 9 days left for you to hashtag Sam the Vote. Down here at the bottom of the screen here, there's a little ticker going back and forth. It says text 127-2804-430-5505. That's 127-2804-430-5505. You want to text that every single day between now and August the 3rd. What that'll do is that'll help us possibly win this year the best local morning radio show, brought to you by the Richmond Times-Dispatch, and possibly making broadcast history. You can go ahead and text that number once again, 127-2804-430-5505. That's 127-2804-430-5505. You can also go to the website go.richmond.com/thebest. Go.richmond.com/thebest. And you can also vote using your email address. You just scroll down to entertainment, then scroll down to best local morning radio show. And then you click on that. You'll see my name, Sam NewsMan, WDCE. And you'll be able to click on that. 2 years ago, we were awarded third place. Last year, we were awarded second place. And with your help this year, by texting that number every single day, we could possibly hack the planet, as my buddy Exertus says, hack the planet, and you, ladies and gentlemen, will be participating in broadcast history, where me, myself, and this little old show, broadcasting out of a very small independent radio signal here at the University of Richmond, could possibly beat all the corporate radio shows here in the state. All the morning radio shows that are still out there. And when we possibly win and receive that plaque, you'll be able to take a little bit of ownership that you were there, that you participated, and it was because of you that allowed broadcast history to come to pass. Once again, text the number 127-2804-430-5505 every single day between now and August the 3rd. Once again, we do have a couple more days left, about 9 days left here on this Sam the Vote-a-thon, or hashtag Sam the Vote. The Vote-a-thon is going to start again tomorrow night. That's Sunday at 10 o'clock Eastern time. So go ahead and set your reminder, and we'll be there tomorrow night. I believe we might have a guest on. I believe so. We have someone scheduled. Like I said, we had a couple of people earlier in the week. Go back and listen to that one. That was on Thursday night. That was day number 9, if I recall correctly. That was where we talked to Deadman and Skydro. But this week, I believe we are going to have some other guests. It's San Diego Comic-Con this weekend. And I am in the process of making sure I'm lining up a few people who were there at San Diego Comic-Con to join us during the week. And that will be a little bit later on this week. Shout out to Joe's Multiverse. See you in the chat. Tip of the cap to you, sir. A couple other people joining in, Kalex. So it is like I said, it's been one of those weeks, ladies and gentlemen. And it has been a somber show, because as we see these celebrity deaths, we realize that, once again, we're all on borrowed time. and you just never know what a day may bring. It is 11:40 on the 26th day of July in the year 2025. What I need you to do is just follow me at Sam Newsman all over social media. That's at Sam Newsman all over social media is where you will find me. Like I said, we will be doing the Sam the Vote-a-thon starting once again tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. And of course, you can be a part of broadcast history by texting the code 127 to 804-430-5505. That's the number 127 to 804-430-5505. Once again, remember to follow me at Sam Newsman all over social media. Hit me up there. And don't forget to vote. Hashtag Sam the Vote. Because you can be a part of broadcast history. 127, ladies and gentlemen, is the key. The key to hack the planet. The key to broadcast history. And the key for us to win Best Morning Radio Show, brought to you by the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Make sure you're listening to the show on the radio too, WDCE.net and WDCE.org. As Citizen Germ will be coming in just a few moments, giving us a little bit more insight from Mr. Rogers, as he usually does. So another way you can also listen to that, it would be going to the your app store, downloading the Live 365 app, searching WDCE. Because not only is this a video segment here that we have right now, but we also have the radio-only segments. And so Citizen Germ will be coming in just a few moments with the radio-only segment. So, what does it say? Oh, no. Burn Eyes says, what about last week's case? Did Elmo get arrested yet? I don't know. I thought he went to the Wailing Wall and apologized. That was my thought. I thought there was a picture I saw online, with BB over his shoulder, looking quite stern, as Elmo was, at the Wailing Wall and apologizing for all the bad stuff that he said. So, but it's one of those things. Kalix says, yeah, I have good days and I have bad days. I'm healing myself. But just take a moment, ladies and gentlemen, and just recognize all the blessings that you have in life. Reconnect with someone you haven't connected with in a while. Because I'll tell you this, you'll thank yourself for doing it. Once again, at Sam Newsman all over social media. Text the number 127 to 804-430-5505. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week, as we always are, starting around 9:30-ish, playing cartoon themes, video game themes, movie themes, sitcom themes, and talking about all things nostalgia as we continue our march to hopefully win Best Morning Radio Show, with you being able to be a part of it. Setting the standard and raising the bar here on the only award-winning radio show dedicated to the magic and nostalgia of Saturday morning, hosted by me, a real award-winning media puppet. From the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman, and this is SideShow Infotainment.